Technology Department, are we ready? Okay, thank you. All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Pat, meeting notice verification? All right, thank you. Madison, would you like to lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brennan, would you give us our mission statement, please?
Serve with passion to ignite creativity, innovation, and excellence.
All right, thank you. Roll call, we've got a couple members absent, but they're accounted for the board. And Ryan, your team is accounted for?
Yep, our team's all here this evening.
All right. I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, a motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have an agenda. First up is reports, Policy, Communication, and Engagement Committee. Eric, you want to give us that report?
Yeah, absolutely. So we met a couple weeks ago to do kind of our semi-annual review of updates from Neola. They had updates to many policies. It was about 139 pages to get us in line with what changes we're seeing within the state, and then also legal changes, and then some that were more like kind of recommended, like to get us in line with where other districts are. So we had opportunity to go through those, brought a bunch forward for first reading, which we'll see later in the agenda.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Board, any questions on that report?
Eric, I'd just like to say thanks for leading that meeting and being the chair for that committee.
All right, thanks. Next up is report from Business Operations Committee. That's you tonight, Sean.
Yeah, this, I just see there was a couple property requests of land that the school district owns. One was from a telecommunications company, and the other was from a current business within the village of West Salem. Telecommunications one we looked at and really didn't see any reason to go forward with any further information. The second one with the property request from a current village business was less impactful to the piece of property that we own. We're going to go forward and just get a little bit more information. It'll come back to the Business Operations Committee. We'll get some more information before we bring it to the board for your guys' suggestions and approvals if necessary. So that was that. The rest of it will be up later in our consider and take action just with regard to line of credit for the school district, setting breakfast and lunch, and the school day milk program. So we'll discuss that later in this meeting.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Board members, any questions for Sean? All right, Tom's not here to give us an update on the TIF district meeting. We'll have to get that later if he attended. Moving on to district strategic initiatives update by district team. Any questions on those reports or any other comments on that?
I guess I'd just like to throw out to the board, I'd like to welcome Charlie Alexander. He's here this evening on behalf of our elementary school. Charlie is our new associate principal at the elementary school. So Charlie, thank you for being here this evening. Also want to point out two other things. I know these are things that I put in my board report, but we did just recently receive 2 grants here this last week. We received a solar moonshot grant. We've started to put the solar energy, the solar panels on top of the middle school. We received another $22,500 grant from the solar moonshot program. And then we did apply for a TAP grant with the Department of Transportation. And we were notified to conduct a traffic study here around campus. And we were informed here late last week that we received that grant. That grant is a total of $44,000, and so I want to make sure that I thank Samantha for going through and completing these. So just in the last week, she was able to get $66,500 worth of grants for our district. So that's pretty big. So
Great news. Thanks, Ryan. Board or admin, anything else to add on the reports? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to connection with the community. Item A, board reports by high school student reps. Madison, do you want to go first?
All right, so National Honor Society helped the West Salem Middle School Band host a blood drive today, and is hosting a blood drive on Tuesday, August 9th, 11 to 4.
The Legion season just came to a close for baseball. The 19U team lost in the regional championship, and the 16U team lost in state. They went 1-2. And spring season is just starting for football and other sports, cross country. I seen them doing like running groups or something. I don't really know anything about that.
All right, thanks, student reps. Any questions for them? All right, next up is correspondence. We have a thank you card that the board received from Aaron Middler, who was one of our college career and life ready scholarships. So it was a thank you for that. Public comment at board meetings, board policy 167.3. Pat, do we have anyone tonight? No one? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. It includes minutes of the regular board meeting of July 11th, 2022, invoices to be paid, resignations, donations, hiring a high school counselor, and co-curricular recommendations for a high school volleyball coach. Our donations for this meeting, we've got 2 of them. Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Eckelberg donated $750 to the Chloe K. Eckelberg Memorial Scholarship for the 2021-2022 recipient. And the high school art department received a $5,000 donation from the Green Bay Packers, which was as a result of Ethan Lehman winning the 2022 Packers art contest.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion?
I just want to thank one of the resignations here is Tammy Bagstead, the elementary principal, and I just want to thank her for her 2 years here within the district.
Thanks, Ryan. Board members, any other comments? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we move on to discuss, consider, and take action if appropriate regarding strategic initiatives. Item A is the line of credit, where we're looking to up our line of credit value from $4 million to $5 million.
So I'll start with business ops. If you recall, roughly 2 years ago, we used to actually have a short-term loan, and the board had asked Sean to look into other ways to get those funds without spending so much in interest. And Sean was able to come up with this line of credit, which we implemented last year. Last year was a really good year to implement it because interest rate was 1.75, and we had a line of credit up to $4 million, only to be paid when we utilized any of those funds. In conversations during the board meeting, Sean, we used about, what, 3.75? We used about 3.75, and then on that line of credit, and then was repaid quickly thereafter. This year, with increases that we've had, Sean upped it to $5 million to have a line of credit for $5 million, but in going with current interest rates going through the roof, we no longer have a 1.75, it's at 4.25. But when you look at the history of needing this money, this line of credit at 4.25 and only paying when we use it is absolutely the way to go. It has saved the school district significant amount of money, and it's would renew this line of credit for the 22-23 school year. So the business operations sent a request to approve it as is to the full board.
Do we think that's gonna be enough, given with inflation? Is there enough? You think so? Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we approve increasing the line of credit from $4 to $5 million for the next school year.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Moving on to item B, set breakfast, lunch, and school day milk program prices. That was also discussed in biz ops, and you all had a recommendation.
Yep, so, just making sure I got there's a recommendation for our prices. We went through, if you recall, just to make sure everyone's aware that for summer school, it is currently no charge. That was per the state of Wisconsin. Coming into the 22-23 school year, we will be back to paying for breakfast and lunches at our buildings. The recommendation, based upon inflation for food costs and ingredients, the recommendation that is coming with approval from the business ops is at breakfast for an adult is $2.75. High school is $2.15. Middle school breakfast is $2. Elementary is $1.80. Lunch at the elementary is $3.10. Middle is $3.30. High school is $3.45, and adult lunch is $4.25. Anything else you'd like to add, Ryan? Or did I cover it?
When you look at these prices, the prices are up about a quarter from when we last set prices in going into the 2019-2020 school year. Traditionally, we'd usually raise the costs about a dime each year to help, just keep up, and that's to keep everything in line with some of the regulations that we have from the state. So we were able to, be below that 10% annual increment or increase since the last time. And I know that Emily and Sean spent quite a bit of time on this, trying to make sure that we still made this as economical as possible for our families.
I move to approve the new school nutrition prices for the 22-23 school year as presented.
Second?
Thanks, I have a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion's carried. Next up is our handbooks, employee handbook, student and parent, middle school athletic, high school student handbook, technology handbook. They're listed on the agenda as separate items, but if you wanted to do them all at once, someone can make that motion.
Unless there's other discussion, I'll move. Was there anything else? I thought I heard we're good? Okay. I move to approve the handbooks as detailed in the agendas, letters C, D, E, F, and G for the 2022-2023 school year.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve all of the handbooks as noted. Is there a discussion?
Other than just to say I thought they did a good job on them.
Okay. Likewise, thank you all. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, all those carried. Item H was regarding the property interests, and we discussed that, so I don't believe there's any action needed.
Nope, there's no action needed on that. Brought some things to the attention from our business ops committee, and I'm going to do a little more investigating on another item with there, and that'll come back at another upcoming board meeting.
All right, sounds good, Ryan. Next up is item I, which is to adopt our strategic plan that we've all spent a lot of time on, board and the admin, so thank you all for that hard work. Mr. Gavin, did you have a comment? I think the strategic plan as presented is reflection of all of the hard work that's gone into it, and I like the iterative changes that we've come up with, so I don't have any other concerns with approving it tonight.
I agree with that.
Me neither.
And the measurable goals are really nice to see. It'd be fun to see how this moves forward. I move to adopt the strategic plan as detailed in letter I of our agenda.
I'll second.
All right, thanks. I have a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, we have a strategic plan. Very excited. Thank you all. All right, moving on to item J, first reading of a lot of policies.
I'll start here before I turn it over to Eric. What this first update of these Neola policies is this was the culmination of all the updates a year ago, rolling over all at once here as we look at these right now. As you look at these going down, you're going to see an R behind some of the policies or an L behind some of the policies. The R is a recommended change coming from Neola due to some legal matters or wording. The L is flat out state statute changes, and so last week? Last week we went through and reviewed all of these, and so I'll turn it over to Eric here, and if Eric wants to talk or comment any more about the changes and some of the work that we did, I'll allow him to do that.
I don't really have a lot to add to that. I think, part of the benefit of partnering with Neola is they'll give us updates on a semi-annual basis. And so the plan going forward is, as a policy committee, is to meet twice a year, review those updates so that we're never more than, we're touching everything every 3 years. And so this would be part of that process. Some of what's in here came out earlier, but we held it because we were still trying to get our current policies in place. So there's a little bit of a catch-up element here, but otherwise we're in a good spot.
One of the other things that we did discuss at that policy committee meeting here last week was one of the things that we removed from the policies were our co-curricular procedures for the middle school and the high school. And so what you're going to start to see is you're going to see those procedures listed on the web page where you can find the policies, and those will also be on the high school and middle school web page as well. Reason why we removed those procedures from a policy that we currently had was, procedures may tend to change from time to time. Not that it's to catch anybody off guard or off balance, but now that we have a streamlined approach to how we're going to go through with policies, if there would be any changes that would be made, we'd have to bring that policy back for a first and second reading before anything could be implemented with that. If there is any change in any of those procedures in the middle school or high school co-curricular books, those things would be brought to the board's attention, and it'd be an informational item going forward. So that was another thing that we discussed at that meeting.
I move to approve. Do you need me to list all of those?
No, you can just say the list is presented. That's
The
fine.
list is presented in item J of our agenda. I move to approve the first reading of those policies.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion?
There were a couple items that we had sent back to Neola for clarification. Other than that, I don't think there was a handful of them, but
Okay, are you good though, Bob?
Yep.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion's carried. Next is our list of to-do items and information requests.
The only thing that was added to the list of to-do items, you did notice that within the strategic plan, we did put some data goals within there, and part of the one thing that we've heard from the board that we want to do is create scorecards to see how we're doing with some of the strategic initiatives within the strategic plan, very much like we did with the teaching and learning. So when I put that as a to-do item, so when we have our data retreat next July, you'll see those scorecards along with the teaching and learning. We're going to try to mock everything up that it looks very, very similar and the same throughout. So I just put that as a to-do item on here. So the board knows that as an administrative team that we're working on those things, and we're going to continue to monitor those and create scorecards for those other 3 pillars within the strategic plan, not just the teaching and learning.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Any other questions or anything we want to add to that list? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Chris, are you the only one that wants to adjourn, or someone want to make a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.